Hello, this is Bonnie, and I thought maybe today that we could work on a Halloween card. It's a little bit different, and I thought I would show you some of the stamps we're going to be using. So this one's Halloween Hello, and I'm going to be using the sentiment, and I'm going to be using the bats. And then I'm also going to be using forest flowers. I'm going to be using this foliage right here. And I'm going to be using the pumpkin stack, which makes a great Halloween or fall card, and you can color these in. I'm also going to be using spiders and webs. I'm going to be using the cauldron from Ruby, and I am going to be using spooky mountain or moons. And I'm also going to be using a paper, and I need to check out which one that is, but we can go ahead and get stamping, and then I'll tell you which paper it is that we're going to be using. I have gotten a new product. I think I need to put this up a little bit for my Misty. This is, I wanted to show you if I can find it. It is like a sticky mat, and it's really great. I don't have to use all these magnets, and I don't have to use my washi tape. I'm really excited about it. It's from Waffle Flower, and it's a grip mat, and this is 6.5 inches by 8.5 inches. It fits perfectly inside my Misty, and I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, like I said. And I'm just going to show you this actually sticks really well. And I'm going to go ahead and put that right there in the middle. And it's like, I don't know how to explain it to you, but that's what it, whoops, let me push it down. This is what it looks like. And like I said, it grips really well. And I've been very pleased with that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this set up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the paper I am using is ShimmerGust. This works great for Halloween and fall, and also Christmas. If you look at the bottom down there, they make perfect wreaths, and the paper I'm using is this one right here. And so to go ahead and get started, I want to get this showing you how I'm going to set this up. And I know I'm going to have these two over here. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is this right here. And I'm just going to be using VersaFine Clear Nocturne. It's all going to be done in black, and I am going to be doing some, like I said, coloring, especially on the pumpkins. But this can be quite a quick card once you have your design all set up. Oops, I didn't even put my magnet on there. That's how good this grip mat is. All right, so I don't really want the legs to that. So I am going to use washi tape for underneath that part, but I know that I want that there. So just kind of quickly putting that washi tape around the pumpkins right there. And then I'm going to put this cauldron down a little bit. And I'm even going to avoid stamping the legs altogether. Not putting any ink on it. And that's how that's going to go. I can see how that one spot right there could probably have used a little bit of the legs, but let's see. I think we're okay. Yep, it's just going to look like it's sitting, so it's great. All right, so we've got the cauldron, and the next thing that I want to do is add a web. But I want to add the web so that I can also add a spider hanging down from it. So I'm going to try to see what's the best way to do that. And I think it's going to go more like that. I also want to leave room for the sentiment so that I can actually put, yep, I think I'm going to go up a little bit higher. That's how that's going to go. So I'm just trying to figure out, I'm making it like a wreath, but it isn't a wreath, but it's like the shape and kind of like in a circle, giving that design. So we've got our spider web. Now for our spider. Now again, if I don't get that exactly on the edge of that spider, I can draw a little line. It would make it perfect. I'm going to have it go over just a little bit further because I want room for my sentiment. All right, so now we have our spider and our spider web. And then we want to go ahead and get this sentiment in here so I know where that's going. Kind of get that to balance that out. I am going to be putting the moon up above, so that all works. This is really a fun arrangement, and it just works really well together. Need a little bit more ink in the center, I'm afraid. Yep. Which is why I love this stamping platform. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and do the moon. Make sure my inky fingers don't get on there. Okay, we're going to need a little bit more ink on that. I can see that right away. Perfect. All right, so then I'm going to use, like I said, my foliage. And I want it coming off of the pumpkin, so I don't want that, but away from the, I want to have it go down closer. So because I'm going to have it go closer, I am going to come back in there with a little bit of washi tape. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because I want it to have that wreath look. And a little bit of washi tape. This comes in really handy when you just want to do something little. Okay, let's see if that's going to cover it. I could use a little bit more. All right. That looks good. And I'm going to continue this a little bit, like I said, because I'm making it like a wreath. So I'm going to wipe off the bottom part of this stamp so I don't get the stem too much in there. Okay. Again, I'm going to avoid that stem. So what I'm going to do is use this washi tape that's down here and just put that over the top of that foliage and avoid trying to stamp the stem. Okay. Yep, that worked. So we have that going around. I think I'm going to have it come around this other side a little bit. I think we can. And it'll attach to that spider web. And again, it's not going to really hurt that moon if I stamp over that. It's not going to really show because it's solid. But again, I'm going to avoid stamping that stem. Okay, so now that it looks like it's actually coming off of that, and I think that works well. I do not believe I'm going to have that go around, but I could. I think I kind of like that. So we are going to go this way. It's going to attach to the side of the web. And again, I'm going to have to cover up that stem. All right. There we go. And that's going to give us the wreath that we're looking for. Okay, so that is what the project is for today. It went really quickly, and what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to color in these pumpkins, and I think that's probably going to be what I might give a little bit more color, but I'm going to go ahead and pull out a couple pencils to show you, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I forgot to add the little bats from the sentiment sending a Halloween, so I'm going to go ahead and add those. I'm putting the large one here and the smaller one down below the moon. And again, when they're tiny, you don't press very hard, you'll get a big blur. So there we go, we've got our two bats as well. So now we can go ahead and get coloring. And I'm using, like I said, colored pencils. That works really well for me. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the color out. Obviously, I'm going to be using an orange color and some other colors to blend that in. So 3 of the colors I'm going to be using. This is called Pumpkin Orange and Mineral Orange. And this one is called, I can never say that right, Cardamom Orange, and 118, 1033, and 1032. So I'm using my darkest color first. I don't want to lose my magnet, so I'm going to get us a little closer. And I know that I have colored these probably in another video, so you can even see how I've colored it differently in another video. But basically, I think of each section as something that needs to pop out. So I think of where the shadows are, and that is how I color. And if it's a tiny, like that little pumpkin, it's not going to be that big of a difference in terms of shading. So that's like how I do. I figured this is the main focus. It's the one that's going to get the most light, but then the pieces behind, kind of like a ball, would be a little bit darker. Now some of this top could be lighter, but I am really focusing on the center of the pumpkin in this case and not making this a really big deal. And like I said, the one I'm using first is a pumpkin orange. And you can see how quickly you can get this colored. It's a really fun little stamp to color. Now, if you want to add more color to your Halloween card, you can do a couple of things. You can stamp like the foliage. You can totally stamp it in color like the foliage, but I think because this is a Halloween card, I don't think that it's necessary for that. So that's the first pass through. Then the next one is just the shade up, really basically, or down, if you want to call it in terms of lighter. And this is the mineral orange. And I'm not going to add a lot of color to this one, but enough, because then you'll be able to see the difference between the two. And this one's in the background, so I should have added a little bit more dark to it, but I didn't. It'll work. Like I said, this really just gives a little bit of color to your card. And you could see it wasn't that necessary. You don't have to color these in. I just like to. And then I always, after I get done with one color, I kind of like look up further away from it to see if I'm missing anything. All right, so then this is that next one. And we're going to be probably filling a little bit more of this in. This is more of a brighter orange. And if you don't want the bright, don't go with the bright, just stay with the other color and color more in. If you want it to be more dark. Okay. I'm coloring this fairly quickly. Normally I would take a lot more time, but this will give you the idea. Okay, so that gives us our color. Then the next one I do is it's a yellow mustard, but not really that bright. So it is called yellow ochre, and it's 942. And that's where I really kind of come in and start filling in and blending in those colors. Again, this is just a really quick coloring because it's smaller. Like I said, you can take your time, always. But that kind of like gives you your pumpkin colors. And the background paper really helps also with I call it blends in really well with this yellow-orange color combination. So if I wanted to just leave the background color as my finished highlight, I could. But what I'm going to do is I am going to come in with a cream and finish that off. And the cream that I'm going to use is called Sand, and that works really well. I think it needs a little sharpening. Okay. And now I'm just going to go over the entire thing with this cream. Cream is really pretty close to the yellow ochre. And I don't care if every single white is colored in or not. It gives it a little bit of a pop. So that's how easy those pumpkins really are to color. And this paper allows for you to use pencils. It allows for you to use watercolor. You just can't use a lot of saturation of water with any paper unless it's watercolor paper, but it works really well. So that's probably going to be the pumpkins. And then I'm going to add, because the moon all looks like the same, I am going to add a little bit of a color to the moon. And the one I'm going to use, I'm not really sure which one I want better. Because it's got more of a green background. There's like 3 that you can pick from, usually in Prisma. But I think because it's more of a green background, I'm not going to go with the bright yellows. I'm going to use this one. And this one happens to be yellow chartreuse. So I'm just going to come in here just to give it a little bit of a glow and a difference from the background. I'm just going to color the solid space, not the black. And that will give it its glow. Now, if you want to have a little bit of shading to make it look more rounded, at least that part of it, there is a little bit of dots that shows you where the shading should go. Now you can see that that kind of like already gives you your Halloween glow. So what I would do, just to give it a little bit of shading, is I would pick out a gray. And the gray that I would probably pick out, let's see, I think the one that works really good for this one is going to be French gray. And again, you can see my tip is kind of dull. So I'm gonna show you how I sharpen my pencils. I learned this from a friend, because I was doing it the other way, and my lead would break off. So if you kind of like tilt it, I use a large end, and I'm tilting it up just a little bit, but I don't want it sharp like a pencil, because it's just a waste of your lead. I just want that much sharpened. And then it's not a waste, and it doesn't break my lead. It's what I've learned from a friend, and I've been coloring for a while, and it's worked really well. So anyway, I'm just going to come down here, you know, where these dots are. And I'm going to like lightly, not hard, because it'll leave kind of like a line, just like when you do Copics, you want it to blend. So at the bottom part of it, it can be a little bit heavier, but then as you go up, I go lighter. I don't push as hard on my pencil, and I use the side of my pencil just so that I can give a little bit of a shading. And that's what I'm going to do for the top part to make it a little bit more rounded looking. Now, if you want those, see, these other ones are not really, I mean, they're craters, but they're not. They're like, you know, the light spots of the moon. So it's like you don't really want to add a whole lot to them, but you can. So I'm going to just add a little bit. Again, it's not a real, like, wow, you know, like that's a real contrast. It isn't. But it gives it a little bit of a shape. I think you can kind of see that. So again, if you wanted color for the sides, you could add color. I think I'm really happy with the way that looks. I think I might see if this chartreuse, the yellow chartreuse, will give me a little bit of a glow around these by going around the outside of the bubbles. Not the inside. I'm going to go ahead and keep them black. But just to give it a little bit of a glow, I'm going around the outside of each of those bubbles. Okay. I just put that on a black card base. I want you to see that. But one other thing I like to do, and I've done this many times with the wings in my videos, is I like to use this Folk Art Extreme glitter. It's usually called a hologram. This one, I don't know why they've changed the packaging so it's not. So what's nice about it is it's clear. So it doesn't, it's not opaque. So I really like that. So I don't know if you can actually ever see the glitter in there, but it's really, really pretty. And it's not all that substantial in the videos sometimes, but I'm going to go ahead and see if I get you closer, if it does show up at all. I'm going to add this to the spider webs. And what is really cool is when people get it, this card, or any card like this, they will see the glitter. I might be able to tilt it once I get this painted. But I always I think of spider webs with dew on them are so pretty. And I just thought adding this little bit. Now you can see, remember I told you if you add, this is an acrylic water-based paint. And so it does get a little bit wet, but as you can see, it's not doing any damage to the card. I just wanted to let you know that. And you can see that it might raise up a little bit, but as it dries, because there's not very much, it does. But I can know if you can see the glitter on that, and it works really well because it does have a little bit of a green cast to it, so it really goes well with this paper. If you wanted more glow, like say you wanted some on your pumpkins, this works really well. I just put like the top like it's glowing from the moon, and that works really well too. And it's just, like I said, just a little fun pop for whoever gets the card. And I see one thing I should have done that I did not do in terms of coloring. I should have added a little bit of green to the stems of some of these pumpkins, which I can do. And you can see, like I said, I added that glow to the cauldron bubbles, but now I'm going to go ahead and it's going to look like I'm totally covering these bubbles up with this, but again, like I told you, this dries clear and just leaves the glitter, which is really cool. All right, so I'm going to quick pop out a green and color those stems in, even though I should be washing off my brush. I'm going to do that because I want to show you what that does look like with the green. So it's not that significant either because it's just tiny. You can't even see it on that one. So it's just a couple really that it shows up on. And if it doesn't have one, this is when I add it, is when I add the pencil to it. Now you can kind of see the glitter that's still drying. But you can see, like I said, on the spider web, how cool that is. All right, so that is the project for today. I appreciate you stopping by, and the next time I'll be sharing a video will be with a new release, and that will be pretty exciting. So I can't wait to share the new release with you, and I'm glad you stopped by today, and I hope you have a great day. And everything below, or I've used, will be in the description below.